As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.
Let me take this off. Oh, I don't even have my... what the hell? What the hell? I don't even have this on. Hold on. Why not? Why not? Why not? Why not? It is nice to see all my beautiful people. If you guys weren't here this morning, we went over the crazy stories going out on Minnesota. Now I'm here and I was sitting there saying, who believes this will go on in Portland, Oregon before Minnesota? Guess what? By this afternoon, guess what I see? Come, bring on the footage. Bring on the footage, right? It's like, there you got it. Now we got crap going on in Portland too. Yay! Yay! It's great. Groovy gal, it's nice to see you. Samantha, hello. Who else is in here? Let's go up to the Jenny, Sonia, Pebbles, Sasha. It's nice to see. Wanna be sleuthing something? Hey, Bo, it's nice to see you. Our beautiful Melanie up in the chat. Candace, Samantha, Allie, it's nice to see you. Tammy, it's nice to see ya. Kathleen, Lisa, Mama, hello, Texas woman, Jewel, me and you, Sparky Doo. I like it, Sparky Doo. I like Scrappy. I like Scrappy Doo. I like, Scooby Doo and his nephew. Let me at him. Okay, never mind. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop. All right, I just said I like it. Groovy gal, it's nice to see you up in the chat. Who else do we have? Aletha. Please tell me I think I said that right. You're probably jumping for joy or you're saying, wah, wah, wah. Hold on. I think I got it right, Aletha. Sandy, it's nice to see you. Good Sunday evening. Denise is up in the house and it just popped up on me and I don't know where the heck I'm at. Oh my goodness! What happened? I lost my place. The hell was I? There's Aletha. Okay, I found my place. I had to find your name. Denise, Linda, it's nice to see you. 3 out oven plus 9.5 plus a half. That's always a mouthful. Ruby, it's nice to see you. Good evening. What do we have? She ran Colin Wildfire. Hey. Lisa, it's nice to see you. Karen, Reby, it's nice to see you. Or Rebby, I don't know which one it is, but my hooked on phonics is broken. You're going to have to forgive me just ever so slightly. Show little Grace. Deezy Dukes. Dizzy Dukes. No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. All right, Kim, it's nice to see you. Hey, guys, I'm Bullhorn Betty. We cover true crime. And, I was thinking we've been doing a lot of work. I want to show you guys what we've printed. This is just the stuff we printed out. Okay, this is not even the stuff that I haven't printed out that we've just read off of, just the AI, whatever you call it, thread, right? And so I've got all these little charts that it prepared for me. I got a lot of stuff here, right? And I'm sitting here looking at this stuff and I'm thinking, man, we got a lot of information coming out, but I got to tell you, we didn't have near as much information as we did until we started plugging in CES stuff. And once AI started feeling real emotion from a parent, it seemed like its assessment of the Proudfoot started really taking shape, so to speak. I haven't provided any more. There's a lot of stuff here, and quite frankly, I haven't had time to go through there and pull transcripts and put them into the system. So I figured we'd go back. We're always talking about going back to the beginning. And so I have made it a mission this time. We're still going to be working with AI and stuff like that. But we're going to start incorporating going back to the beginning because I feel like, not just like going back to the story, going back to our coverage. Because at the very beginning of this, we thought Chris Proudfoot broke into his house and did this. Okay? And there's reasons why we felt that way early on. And then we realized, wait a minute, we might be assessing this a little incorrectly. Let's start listening to it. We've never, ever, ever got any scintilla. We've had assumptions that he came back that night, even for me. But we've never had any solid evidence that we can point to and say, he was at this place at this time and he came home at this time. We've got none. Hey, Sammy, it's nice to see you. Tammy, Liz. We do have a lot of red flags. Don't get me wrong. We're not thinking that our guts are wrong. Okay, we know something bad had to happen. A boy's been missing for almost 2 years. Okay, this illusion that something bad didn't happen is bullshit. Okay, on a Sunday, excuse me, right? Maybe I need to use my beep button. I do have one. It's bull. Okay, you guys get it, right? I forgot I got a BS button.
Warning, bullshit alert.
We have a missing boy that's never run away from home before. That's never been without his parents before. That's terrified of dirt and bugs. Okay? There's something bad going on here. So we already know that. So for you folks that are just coming in, I'm Bullhorn Betty. Again, we cover true crime. This right here is the case of Sebastian Rogers. And just to give you guys a little elevator speech, in case you're new, I'm pretty sure everybody is in this chat because they're very much familiar with this case. But you never know who's going to be researching and when, right? So it might be somebody just initially starting their research. It might be 2 years from the time we record this that somebody is starting, hey, Mally Cat, starting to do their research. So let me just give you guys a little history of this case. Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers was 15 years old when he disappeared. It is the statement of this channel. He disappeared on February 25th, 2024. Oh, thank you. Melly Cat just gifted a Bullhorn Betty membership if you received your Bullhorn Betty membership. And that went to Bo. So, Bo, welcome to this crazy family we call the Coffee Club. I eat the inside asylum. Grab your straitjacket in your padded room and welcome aboard into it's because I'm a love machine. Oh, let me do my love machine. Love machine. My Vogue. I need to stop. I need to stop. So welcome aboard, Bo. It's nice to have you part of the family, part of this crazy family. We're a little cray-cray over here. Hey, Glow, it's nice to see you. Well, I heard, okay, guys, I'm going to tell you guys right now, let's just take a detour just ever so quickly while we've got 157 people in chat. Please let us know where you are and what your temperature is. I'm hearing hundreds of thousands of people are without power right now across this country, some in Texas. We've got some outages in Tennessee already. So we need to be making sure that if we have family, especially elderly family or people that live alone in these hard-hit areas, we need to make sure that we reach out to them and make sure that they're okay. Okay, if you're in driving distance, obviously stay off the road unless you know you need to get somewhere. But please be cognizant that right now some people are snowed in. Power lines are breaking because of the freezing temperatures. Some of the trees are breaking into the power lines because of the freezing temperatures. And we cannot forget our homeless population that's living in these freezing temperatures, okay? The a-holes in Portland and Minneapolis, they did it to themselves, okay? They're out there in this, and I'm hearing they're getting frostbite and everything else. You know what? I ain't got it. I'm going to sleep just fine in Florida, okay? So I'm just letting you know if anything happens to them, I'm going to sleep just fine in my queen-size bed. I'm just letting you know. I need to stop. Mally Cat, thank you. Aw, thank you. I'll continue to support you, Betty. Love you. Aw, thank you. Big love to you, too. Oh, that's sweet. That's sweet. I really do have a great group. I really do. It's nice to see you. So just be careful and be safe. Be careful, but check on people. Be neighborly, okay? In the climate that we're in, we've got a lot of bozos out there that are crazy in the cranium, okay? We can't fix that. But for all of you people that are normal and average, welcome. Welcome to this side of humanity. Please continue to be human and help thy neighbor, okay? Help thy neighbor. Okay, so let's get back to this just in case people are not familiar with this case. So Sebastian disappeared again. This is the position of this channel that he disappeared on February 25th. The reason why we have that position is multiple statements from Chris Cady, law enforcement, but more importantly, Chris. He's made it very adamant that he disappeared on Saturday evening. So long story short, he was reported missing on February 26th, which was a Monday, and he has not been seen or heard from since. We have learned from his father, his biological father, which was very much involved in his life, some quirky things, like Sebastian doesn't leave the house without shoes, identifying a very specific traumatic event that Sebastian had with fire ants. And from that point forward, because he's a highly functioning autistic child, he takes in information a little differently than the rest of us. So in his mind, if he doesn't put socks and shoes on, his feet are going to hurt from those fire ants. That's how his mind processes information. So therefore, he always puts his shoes and socks on because he doesn't want his feet to have fire ants on him. He also has a grass allergy, which kind of does not support him leaving the house on foot without any shoes on. We also learned that the mom and the stepfather had this very lengthy 2 to 3 hour conversation. It's a little hazy on the time because originally everybody passed around that the call was around 9 o'clock, right? And it wasn't. It was actually around 9:43, which was almost an hour later than many people had thought, which set the story even more weird because when you're at 9 o'clock with the call and you fall asleep by 10, well, being on the phone an hour, you can kind of understand that maybe if somebody was already tired, falling asleep within that hour. But to find out that she was calling him at 9:43 and allegedly was falling asleep at 10 p.m., some 17 minutes later, it's just a little odd, okay, to say the least. And how did she fall asleep and hear a thud at the same time? So we had a lot of questions on that. But more importantly, he's never been seen again. Their behavior has been very questionable since they filed the missing person report about their son. Christopher Proudfoot would never allow his wife to be interviewed or spoken to alone or by herself. He made it very clear to the PIs of Seth Rogers. But we've always been talking about going back to the beginning, trying to remember all of that fluid information coming in, because we know so much now that when we start hearing things like the narked diver, for example, we just plugged in and looked at a video with narked diver. And you know what we forgot about? We forgot about the FBI ride-along. We forgot about the FBI ride-along. I was going in there to show them about the comment that he made about the knees, because my point that I was bringing this video up was much different than what ultimately revealed itself. And what ultimately revealed itself is that we forgot the FBI picked up Chris, not Katie, not Seth, Chris, and took him for a ride-along. And why is this so important? Because this is a law enforcement tactic. We've seen it before. Usually they do it when they have a homicide and they believe that the person that they're taking out is the person that may have unalived that person. And therefore they like to watch their body language, how they fidget, different things that they're trained and skilled to observe. And they try to almost do like a hot and cold. You know what I'm saying? Like they bring him to an area and see if his body temperature or his behavior is warm or cold, because they're trying to sniff out where Sebastian might be. And I think very early on, they didn't really believe this story because of several different things. Yes, he is a suspect. But I think everybody thought he was more of a suspect than he ultimately became. Even myself, when we first got into this case, and we're gonna go and listen to it. The very first video I did was on TikTok. Okay, and so I'm going to show you guys the TikTok video, which probably had to kill this live because the music is not interchangeable from platform to platform. So I'm required to use certain music on TikTok and I'm required to use certain music on YouTube, but it is what it is. It just is what it is. I mean, this is about Sebastian. This is going back to the time. We're just going to have to do what we got to do. Oh, thank you, Dizzy Duke. Because I'm a love machine. Welcome to this crazy family we call the Coffee Club. I eat the inside love. Grab your straitjacket in your padded room and welcome aboard, because we ain't know what?
Honestly, it's fake news. It's fake.
That's CNN, not Bullhorn Betty. I just thought I'd throw that out there. I had to renew. Well, we appreciate it. Thank you, love. Thank you. Thank you. So let's get back to this. It's very interesting, but at the end of the day, I don't want us to do spoiler alert because I want us to stay focused on the information we're saying, because this is literally back from March 2024, and that's when we got involved in this case. Because you remember all the problems that are going on in Tennessee because of, let me just get out the way over here. Because of these three people, right? Right? All this bull from these three people right here. Okay. So, that's all I got to say about that. But anyways, we went back, started all this stuff from the very beginning, and I want to remember how I was thinking at the time, because we thought it was Chris Proudfoot. And at some point, we realized Katie was the only one alone with him. Even if Chris came back, he came back as an accessory after the fact. He came back as an accessory after the fact. All lies from the mom, stepdad, all of them, just like the Wells. I agree. PG. Absolutely. Hey, JH, it's nice to see you. Now, guys, if you guys are writing in the chat and I don't see your chat, I do apologize about that, okay? These chats do kind of move a little fast, and the chat's kind of over here, and I'm paying attention over here where all my content is. So I try to engage with you guys, and I'm sorry if I don't. I just want to tell you all that I love you, and I hope you guys stay warm and safe this very miserable cold weather, and I'm about to start getting miserable right with you. My 2 days that I'm supposed to be at the county are going to be the coldest time in my county. I'm going to be freezing my ass off! Just saying! I'm not looking forward to it. Thank you, Cynthia. Thank you. Big hugs and love to you, too. Big hugs and love to you, too. So without further ado, let me go ahead and pull this on up here. Here is the very first. This is the first one. This is TikTok. I mean, I put it on YouTube, but this is TikTok.
There is a lot of issues going on with this case that are now flooring detectives and the family. I've been monitoring the case of Sebastian Rogers. He's a boy that went missing in Tennessee. His mom has a message.
Love you so much, and we want you to come home, and you're not in trouble.
Search into the 15-year-old's disappearance has all failed. This is a boy that has autism. He's a high-functioning autistic individual, and the parents are coming under heavy fire right now because it is leading to believe that foul play is involved. But here is something that the stepfather had to say early on in the investigation.
Chris and Katie tell me they've been harassed, people pointing fingers at them.
You're not in this situation. You don't quite understand.
Many here in the public are just concerned about the well-being of Sebastian Rogers and would like to see him come home and come home safely. However, the boy has been missing for a significant amount of time, and now this particular case has led investigators to a landfill. Landfills appear to be the most promising place for parents to dump their children because this is not the first time. I was on scene at the Leilani case, and this was related to her 20-month-old son, Quentin Simon, which was found in a landfill. Leilani Simon is behind bars. Also, Elijah Vu. He has not been found yet. He's missing from Two Rivers, Wisconsin, and also the detectives and the investigators in this case have gone to the landfill and are currently doing a landfill search. Now that we know that foul play is perceived in this case, we're going to take a look at the parents' interview. Please stay tuned and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Bullhorn Betty channel here on TikTok.
So we learned that there is possibility for foul play about the time we got into it. Now, remember, we were monitoring this situation. Before we started doing a video on it because it was another kid. And to be honest with you, it wasn't one I was going to jump right in on because we were already getting such, people are already saying that we just attack parents, that we just always accuse parents, and it was like, I'm already going through a bad time. Hey, Nani, it's nice to see you. Every time we have a bad time, or I was having a bad time at the time. I can't go over it. The people that were here in the chat knows what happened and stuff like that. I don't want to rehatch, some of those memories and scars and what have you, but there was really stuff going on. So I was in a bad spot, so I was very, very careful with the case. I didn't want to, just automatically accuse because I felt some type of way or whatever the case may be, but I knew we needed to look at the parents in any case because you got to look at, whatever. And so when I started reviewing it, and it was again that Widener guy, the EMA director, Ken Widener, when he started talking about how he's been doing this for 30 or 40 years, and he's never seen a case where they can't pick up the kid that left barefoot. I mean, that was pretty telling and damaging, in my opinion, for the mom and stepdad. Period. So I'm not sure, really any more than that. But I knew that I didn't know who was involved, but it seemed like it had to be somebody close. So anyways, this is the very first live stream where we introduce for the first time Sebastian Rogers. And so I thought it would be interesting to go back literally to the beginning for this channel. Hey, Lolly, it's nice to see you. Go back to the beginning of this channel and just listen. Now, this one video is at over an hour, okay? We're going to get through as much as we can. We're going to discuss, and maybe it'll ignite something that we forgot about. Because it seems like every time I bring one of these up, we forget about a little something, right? And even though some of the stuff we found out doesn't hold water or is insignificant, there might be something that might be significant that we forgot about. So this is the very first live stream, folks. This is Bullhorn Betty's very first live stream on Sebastian Rogers. And to be honest with you, I don't remember what all I said. I really don't. I couldn't tell you. I could tell you this. I can tell you this was on March 16th. We got involved in this case March 16th. This is important. And why is this important? Because all those earlier initial interviews that everybody tried to blame on Bullhorn Betty as being the mastermind behind Chris and Katie being harassed, I wasn't even involved in the case. So those interviews from March 3rd, March 4th, all the Hands interviews, the Second Duchess interview, the Chronicles of Olivia's interview came 2 days after we got into the case. We got into the case right here. This is the first time I'm introducing the case to you guys on March 16th. On March 16th. So let's see what this is all about. It's been a long time. It's been almost 2 years. Actually, yeah, it's been almost 2 years since we recorded this. And this case is kind of taking a life of its own. Ooh. Because this boy is a high-functioning autistic boy that didn't run. Hey, Nani, sorry. Every time I see a clip with KP rocking back and forth, I think of her. I know of what Yeda said. Yeah. Yeda ended up being a freaking crackpot. I'm sorry. She ended up being a crackpot and a freaking half. Oh, let me get that out of my face. Okay, let me resize this. There we go. I think we can see that. Okay, let me clear that off so we can see me. There we are. Looky. Oh, ain't that Betty? Oh, the bits. Oh, the bits. Blonde hair. That was when I first started. Ooh, we've been growing out my hair, getting all this blonde out for 2 years. Holy smokes. And I invited the gray in. I certainly did. I was happy for it.
It sounds like through several of the interviews, by the language the parents were using, such as he was having a good day this day, or, he went to bed. He didn't argue with me to go to bed. So obviously there is some indication that he can be a handful.
I forgot about those initial assessments. See? All right, we're not even a few minutes. I just started. It just started. It's only been going for 45 seconds because I had a 7-minute intro, and I'm like, if you guys don't believe me, we can go back just a little bit. But I forgot about that. I did remember picking up on. I know. Thank you, Aletha, reminding us that Madeline Soto disappeared on the same exact day that, oh, that's right, she's right behind me. And then Elijah Vu is all the way over there. He ended up being found. His mom and her boyfriend are behind bars over his homicide. Yeah. Wow. It's been a while. But I forgot about those first assessments and realizing how much of a handful he's got to be, you know? Let me take this off. Yeah. Okay.
At times, but for the most part, was always a good boy, a kind boy, a smart boy. It didn't appear that he had a whole lot of friends, probably due to his disability. And, you know, when your child has a disability, you're a little more, you shelter your child a little bit more, so to speak, because you don't want anything happening to them or them being disadvantaged in any way. So coddling would probably be more in line. You know, you coddle a child that has disabilities more so than a normal child.
This is so important, and how I didn't think it would be. I didn't think this would be, but how important this is, because look at these initial assessments. I forgot all about this. So we're talking about he must have been a handful at times, right? And then we're talking about when you have a child with disabilities, what do? You coddle them. And what is the one thing Chris and Katie never did? They never coddled this kid. They punished him every single opportunity that they had. Like, his kid was always, I stole my mommy and daddy's car, and I'm not even in this much trouble. Okay? This kid does nothing. I was a troubled child. Did I ever tell you? If you guys are new to this show, okay, one of the things that I stand on is the fact no matter how far down you go, you can pull yourself up by your bootstraps and get back and get your life back in order. Okay? It's just, and I just sit here and think about all the stuff that I did when I was younger, you know? And this child didn't do half the crap that I did, and he was in hell of a lot more trouble all the time than I was. You know? He never did anything right. And his stepdad would do stupid crap like go and clean out his room and throw it in the garbage. Could you know how traumatic that is to a child with autism? And here I am thinking that these people would coddle their son a little bit more. And look where we are 2 years later. We know for a fact they didn't coddle this child. You see how loving and authentic the E's are. I mean, I think the reason why I lean on the E's so much is because I've met so many people that have autistic children or family members, and a lot of them have the behavior, the kindness, the kind soul, you know, the patience. It's like, it's one of the things that you really can tune into with like the parents or the folks that have families that are autistic or whatever. And one thing that you see is how sweet and genuine and patient parents of autistic children are. And you always wonder, were they just born like that? And, then you hear from like Mr. and Mrs. E where they've come in the chat and said, it took a lot of work for us to get this way because they needed to change their whole entire life for their child. And many people do that. And it's like you can always see it because, again, I ran up an $800 landline bill prank calling exotic. I didn't get punished. I know we did stupid. That's the kind of crap we did. Absolutely. We got in trouble and we did stupid stuff. And trust me, our parents weren't rich back in our days. If you think you're poor now, the people are living in laps of luxury from where we were good. If you weren't on government assistance, you thought you were a millionaire. Okay. I'm just saying that was from our times, But nobody is in as much trouble as this young boy is, and it's just crazy. And you would think that at some point, Chris and Katie would have learned. Like, you hear Seth, and you hear how he loves to teach his son how to build. He was teaching his son how to cook. Took his son out fishing. He taught his son how to swim, which is, we have so many autistic children that drown. There's a lot that I believe are drowned, and it's passed off as a drowning. In all fairness, I'm sorry, but I believe in statistics, and if I believe in statistics, then I got to believe some of those kids that are, check marked as accidental are truly homicides. So, long story short is most of the families change their lifestyle, change their behavior, have classes, go to places to learn how to really work on their patience. It's one thing I don't have. I have zero patience, like zero. Okay. I'm a freaking maniac when I had the vape. Okay. I was a freaking maniac. I'm a maniac over my glasses. I get frustrated. I'm one of those people, like, I got to have glasses everywhere, because when I need my glasses, I'm not trying to run all over the house. If I have to run all over the house, I get frustrated. I have no patience, right? Because I'm always just, when you're people that are always on the go, understand the zero patience, because in order to be on the go, like literally all the time, you have to be on a schedule. You're constantly just, winding and grinding. I don't know how to explain it. So I have no patience. It's something that, it's one of my shortcomings. It's one of the things that I should be working on. I will work on it eventually, maybe when I'm old and gray. Oh, God, I already am. Well, one of these days, okay? We can still say prayers for Betty. We do have a whole prayer squad for me, okay? Just saying, not playing. But wow, coddling. What an important word, because this is what we kind of expect. And trust me, mama bears, like, you got a child on the playground and people are being mean to that child's out. Well, you're going to see a mama bear, right? So we have parents like that when they have disabled children, because they don't want their child to ever feel pain, heartfelt pain. They're already disadvantaged, and it's the parent's responsibility to take care of that child. So, long story short, is we expect coddling. And that's one thing that we found out throughout this journey, and we're here almost 2 years later, is this child was never coddled. He was coddled by his dad. I believe that. His dad taught him a lot of things, try to teach him about, being a man, cooking, like I said, fishing, swimming, hunting, shooting the gun, at the fire range, whatever the case may be. So he wasn't really everything that we learn about autistic children. He was very high functioning. I had no patience, but my autistic 8-year-old son made me have to grow some. I can tell you, Delilah, as she gets older, she does, have a tendency of pushing my patience a little, not because she's doing anything mischievous. It's because stuff like, when I'm getting ready to go to Laura's or something, and she goes and hides for a few minutes, like under the car or something, and I'm running in the backyard looking for her, calling her name, and she thinks she's being funny. So and I have to remember she's just a puppy playing. And I'm like, okay, well, you got a cute face. Are you ready to go now? Whatever the case may be. But coddling, very good. Something we haven't talked about in a while. All of our initial assessments, we're only a couple of minutes in. I'm telling you, this 1.5 hour video, I could probably make a 3-day freaking show out of it.
Because you've got to be concerned about their mental health, their physical health. Not that you're not concerned about children without autism that way, but I think you have a heightened level because you have to have more care for a child with autism. The house and everything, they look like they were fairly well-to-do. Chris Proudfoot is a heavy crane operator of some sorts, and was working on a what was it, the Moffitt Center or some type of medical center, I believe is what it was. And
St. Jude's.
Either way, long story short is it on the outside, everybody looking in, this appears to be a normal family that probably has normal problems just like everybody else. And then boom, one day we wake up and their son is gone. And so a huge search, literally.
Does it sound like I'm in the, oh my gosh, it has to be the parents? I mean, I just want to let you know that we weren't like radicalized, we went in this looking at this saying, hey, you know what? We have to look at the parents. I even said that at the beginning, like in the first few moments, that we needed to look at the parents, especially now that foul play could be entertained. And I'm talking about Chris. I'm being very, unbiased, talking about, his history, where he's working and, what he's doing, and that they're, they look like they have some good, money, and this might just be a situation where the child ran away. Again, we didn't know Sebastian. I just started. I mean, I monitored this case for a little minute, but it still didn't matter. We were very fair with this case for all those people that may have forgotten. Very fair.
Almost immediately, according to the mother, the whole street was lined up with law enforcement. The stepfather was having to come back home. We learned that Sebastian's biological father was involved in his life, loved his son. It wasn't like he had an absent biological father. His father was in his life. His father was about to get custody of him full time in the summer. And, again, I keep wondering, the reason. And I'm starting to feel, everybody's like, well, how did the mom feel about this custody arrangement? And, there's money coming out of the family now. She's not going to be getting the disability check. And, while that might be an issue, I don't anticipate that, this child was getting a whole host of money a month. It looked like that Chris was a well-bodied man that was, And in all fairness, just for everybody, we did go down this, money trail. Let's not forget. I mean, we didn't just start accusing people. We went down a lot of different trails, because at this point it could have went either way, right? It could have been Seth doing something so he could get money or stop paying child support, because we didn't exactly. She didn't start the fire. Exactly. Thank you, Wannabe Sleuthin. But we didn't know if the father had done something so he wouldn't be able to pay child support. We didn't know if the parents had done something so they didn't have to pay future child support to the father. We didn't really know what was going on at this time, folks. And all we knew is that everything looked like it should from the outside looking in. And whoa, I mean, now 2 years later, we're like, the stuff that the outside looking in was a facade. It was a facade. We know that now. Had a good job and a good income. It didn't seem like the money factor would be an issue, but just like everybody else, just because you make a lot of money doesn't mean you don't spend a lot of money. So finances have been a problem. To be honest with you, at this point, we don't know. We can allege it could have possibly been. So we're going through a lot of different theories, a lot of different motivations. We're just kind of getting our feet wet in the story. An issue for the Proudfoots, losing whatever, child support or disability or whatever, but who knows? It could be half of their income for all we know. I mean, we just really don't know. But what we do know is that he has been missing for a significant amount of time. There was no evidence from the searchers that even said this boy walked out of his home, which is what's concerning so many people, because now they have even after going to a landfill, there was one potential hit on a like a dumpster or trash receptacle, from my understanding, on a like construction type of site near his home. Not
And this was all, and I think this was confusing because we got we got 2 or 3 different stories about what drove the investigation to the landfill. Originally, it was being passed around that it was this dumpster, over in the construction site that the dogs ended up hitting on. And then we heard that it was from their own neighborhood, their own community, from the garbage can or the garbage receptacle weighing too much. Now, I will be honest with you, neither one of those have been confirmed by any legitimate source, one way or another. But we have confirmed from a legitimate source, law enforcement, that they were at the landfill because of the trash at the Proudfoot home. So I think this whole thing about the dumpster, they weren't at the landfill for the dumpster. Everything that they've been telling us has to do with the trash at their house. So, but it could very well be a confusing situation, so we don't know that it really was for the dumpster. So I'm still very confused, and I don't want to add anything that we're not 100% clear on into our system that we're going to be pulling information out on, because that needs to be as clean and as factual as possible. If we start putting assumptions in there, it might start taking those assumptions as fact, and we can't do that. So this whole what led them? What led? Does anybody have any theories? Let's just take a few moments and read the chat. Why do you truly, I want you guys to really think deep into your gut and your soul and tell me what you truly believe that led them to the landfill. What led law enforcement to the landfill? What probable cause did they have to get a warrant for a Kentucky landfill? I mean, you would have to think that probable cause had to be pretty significant to get they got a warrant. I mean, we're not talking about, CP, in my opinion, the trash man's statement. I think the motive was to keep Chris. She got rid of their child. That could be. We've seen that before, but we're talking about the trash was heavy. So some people believe the trash was heavy. If it involves thinking, it gives her a headache. Who are you talking about? Looking for cameras or electronics. And we heard it might be something like that. What does it say? Was Ted to call law enforcement till trash was picked up? In my opinion, me and you says, I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know either. I'm racking my brain to think what probable cause they would have. They keep telling us that this was just, what word do they use? A precautionary measure, I think is the word that they kept using. I do believe it's for possible evidence, but I'm still trying to figure out why. Is it just simply because their trash was picked up the same day he disappeared? I mean, is it something that trivial, that simple? Possibly. Or was it because of something else, I don't think Seth would have tried to get support. At that point, I feel like Seth would do his best to keep peace with the 3 parents because someone has to be the bigger person. Yeah, I know. I kind of get that kind of vibe from him too, Chris is always out there trying to act like he's always the bigger person, but let's face it. I mean, that man, he loses his shit on the drop of a dime. I've never seen somebody so volatile and so, outraged at every blessed thing. Like normal questions we ask everybody, he was like outraged over. It was just so suspect. I mean, it was just sus. Like somebody that's that outraged about every blessed thing, normal stuff. Like he wouldn't answer anything. And that when you start playing games like that with a child missing, it just tells me that you're not really looking for the child. You're looking for protection, covering your own ass. And the only reason why you would want to cover your own ass is if you know something's not right. If something ain't right. I'm sorry. You know? That's the only way I can see it.
Not sure how relevant that is, and we don't know if that was the only hit, if maybe it was possible that the dog hit incorrectly. That is common. It's not an uncommon phenomenon that a dog picks up on the wrong scent or a scent is moved. We talked about the dogs and the different types of dogs that there are and how they can't.
There's all kinds of stuff we learned with the Summer Wells case, but at the end of the day, you know, we weren't really hung up too much on the dogs because we know there are environmental things, and we knew that they could be ground disturbance dogs versus scent dogs because we learned about different types of dogs during the Summer Wells. And so, you know, we're always trying to make sure that we're looking at all possible scenarios. You know, is this a scent specific dog? Did they actually have Sebastian's scent, and did this dog truly jump in to a retaining pond after getting Sebastian's scent, or were they just following ground disturbance, and there was ground disturbance from the Proudfoot home to the retaining pond without any specific identity? Or you never know. It could have been a test. They may have done a dog with Katie's scent, a dog with Chris's scent, and a dog with Sebastian's scent. And because it was such a noticeable reaction from the dog, they had to say it was a false positive for Sebastian. And maybe that was a true statement because maybe it was a false positive for Sebastian, but not Chris or Katie. You see what I'm saying? You got to be careful because, I mean, you know, they give you, sometimes law enforcement gives you the truth, but they select how much of the truth they give you, you know? And it's what I refer to as word salad. They're giving you the truth, but there's more to it. And what they're giving you is not, it's to lead you away from it instead of leaning you on it, you know?
Be cross-trained in many cases because they're so specific in their tasks. And but anyways, again, the dogs, there are issues. We learned in that that research that there are many variables that can make a dog hit wrong, from just poor training, their trainer not being ready, environmental changes such as wind, rain. All these things are factors in whether a dog can hit or not hit or anything like that. But what was most concerning is that the actual professional searchers are the ones that were really concerned. They're like, you know, at this point, we usually have something. Right. We have nothing.
Nothing.
Almost implying this child never even walked out of his home. Then we started seeing this video.
So do you understand, by the 16th of March, we had, you know, law enforcement had spoken so much to the public, law enforcement, other, you know, because this was a missing person. If you know anything about, you know, protocol, law enforcement protocol, when you have a missing person, you know, the system's, you know, the situation's fluid. But they're more open, right? So they communicate more with the public. They're a little more free flowing with the intel and information and areas searched, and, you know, picked up scent, didn't pick up scent, you know, search this area and stuff like that. But as soon as that case goes over to, say, a criminal investigation or a death investigation or a homicide investigation, well, then law enforcement shuts up. Okay. And so this is kind of our trigger here on this show, is when we are covering these cases, because we've got, you know, policy, we know law enforcement policy and procedure. And when law enforcement isn't speaking, we're monitoring their movements. We're monitoring what they're doing. And it usually does kind of fill us in on where we're at in the case. And so we could tell that at the beginning, at least for the first few days, this was a missing person child. But it was kind of right there at that 72-hour mark. Maybe it spilled over to the 96-hour mark, but the information started becoming a little more scripted. It started to be, the messaging started tightening up a little bit. They were a little more concerned with the messaging they gave out. And then as the by, you know, the 8th day in, when they started transitioning from the ground search to the investigative side of things, that's what they called it, that's when everything kind of stopped. No more information. Law enforcement wasn't giving any updates. Any updates they were giving were being given in written format, very, very staggered out. It wasn't, they didn't care anymore about the public. So it tells me that this went from a missing person into a criminal or homicide investigation because of the behavior of law enforcement and what they ultimately did. Now, when we're looking at these cases, we apply standard metrics to these cases. So, for example, if we now believe that this is a criminal investigation or a homicide investigation, now we have to apply those metrics. You're looking at people that are most likely, now you have to rely on statistics, right? So this is something where somebody that had contact with this child most likely had something to do with this child. So how the statistics work is you work from where that child is, who were the people around him at the time, who was the last person that saw that child alive. Then you get Katie Proudfoot, right? But again, this was still in the infancy of us getting involved in this case. So I'm still, I'm not sold on any theory yet. I'm not sold on Chris. I'm not sold on Katie. I'm not sold on Seth. I'm not sold on Sebastian didn't just walk out willy-nilly. This is this is in the infancy of our work on this case. And I was very unclear. This child seemed like he should have had a life that only kids would wish they had. He lived in a nice house. He should have had all the bells and whistles that any child should have had. And then we find out he didn't. He was always punished. And there wasn't even anything outside of that home that looked remotely like a child lived there. Like they kept him corralled in his bedroom. It's just to me weird. It didn't even seem like Katie was even taking him out to go to the park or doing anything like normal families would do. Just saying.
Video of potential flashlights going on, turning off, going on, and it appeared to be two different people moving around that appeared to be in the backyard. And we started discussing that. And I'm like, look, guys, I really don't know if this is a legit video. I have no clue. We haven't corroborated it. But Nick, I think his nickname is Nick Bear. Nick Bears with NC5 actually corroborated that video is a legit video from a neighbor. So we have corroboration that the video of these flashlights in the back of this house were legit, and he confirmed that the time was around 3 a.m. Now, this is causing even more heartburn because we all know that we were told Chris Proudfoot never made it home that weekend.
So we're talking about the details of the case, and Nick Barris released the flashlight videos, and that he had just released those flashlight videos a couple days prior to. Again, we were monitoring this case. I was watching this case the whole time. From the time this child disappeared, because we did Madeline Soto, and I knew that Sebastian Rogers had it. Well, if I recall correctly how it went, we had Madeline Soto here. I picked up the Madeline Soto case, and then it was they were already working on what was his name? Riley Strain. Oh, thank you, Kim. I appreciate it. God bless you. God bless you. We'll give you a little applause. Thank you. Thank you for your love and support, because I'm a love machine. SCSO, do your damn job and do another search for Sebastian. Yes, that's what we want. We want another search. That is exactly right. We want some follow-up searches. We want some targeted searches. We want them getting off their bums and acting like they give a crap about this kid, and they've been doing their job, putting some pegs on a freaking map and deciding where he could possibly be, you know? But anyways, she disappeared right along with Sebastian around the same time, nonetheless, which is a little crazy because, you know, 2 children on the 26th. But here in Florida, we had her stepfather wrapped up and in jail within 72 hours. Chris and Katie are still running free. If they would have pulled this crap here in Florida, both of these parents would be in jail. Chris and Katie would be in jail if they lived in Florida. I want to be very clear on that. If Chris and Katie lived in Florida when Sebastian disappeared, both of them would be in jail right now.
That is what's being said, but when Chris is asked directly where he specifically was, he refused to answer.
Wow.
But I have to be honest with you. He has been answering a lot of people's questions on social media. And so I decided, you know, let's just this angle. What if? There's more to this story. What if the parents are, you know, we got body language experts that believe the parents. So what if, you know, we're looking at the lens that we feel something's odd with the parents. We're looking at this from a sense of, you know, our simplistic understanding of autism and the behaviors that we know, general behaviors such as they're not spontaneous, they need structure, they need schedules. They typically do the same thing over and over again every single day. It's what makes them thrive better in our environment is that structure. So, for example, if an autistic child is, always puts their socks and shoes on before they leave the home, it's not something that they think about. It's almost instinctual, like just breathing for us. They just don't do it. So if he was going to willingly walk out of the home, he would have put his socks and shoes on instinctively. It wouldn't even have been a question. It wouldn't have even been a thought. It wouldn't have been, oh, I heard this noise outside. Let me go check on it. No, it's I heard this noise outside. Let me put my shoes and socks on and go check on it. You see what I'm saying? It just doesn't, it's not like he's going to pop up like we would and run right out the door and check on whatever noise it is or whatnot. So there's this whole thing with this flashlight. We're not quite understanding that. But we're going to be diving into a little bit more of this.
Happy Australia Day.
If you guys want to call in as we're discussing this case, if something pops into your mind, is there something that you want to explore?
I don't know if it's, an Australian holiday or not, but if it is, we love our Australian family, that gets to come in and see us. We know you guys are like living in molten lava while the United States is acting like we're in the North Pole. So please stay cool. We'll try to stay warm, and hopefully the axis gets right where we all right. You guys are comfortable and we're comfortable, but I think you're on the opposite side. So when we're uncomfortable with cold, you're uncomfortable with heat. That's what I'm understanding, anyways. What I'm understanding.
Or I've got a lot of information. I did do some sleuthing on Chris just to see who he was before all of this. And I found some, messages that he's posted, over the last 10 years. And so I wanted to bring some of those messages to you so we can kind of get an insight of, who Chris Proudfoot is. Who was he before this event? The things that we don't.
I want to say, let me just gauge the audience. I'm a little partial All right, but I know you guys are as opinionated as me. Does it sound like I'm all in on the parents have committed this horrible crime at this juncture? Does it even remotely sound like I just targeted these parents and just went after them? If you think I just targeted these parents and went after them, go ahead and put a 1. I'm pretty sure I got some trolls in here. But if you're a normal and average Joe, I'll let you answer. Let me not answer it for you. But you know what I'm saying? Does it sound like I'm just like, oh, these parents did it? You know? Let's get our pitchforks, right? You know? I thought I did this, you know, we come into these cases and we try to be as fair and as impartial as possible, but there's going to be a point when we get to in a case where the information, we just know that it ain't right, when we know whether we can prove it or not that they had something to do with it, right? We just know, because we use Occam's, there's no possibility of any other thing happening. We just need to find the child wherever he's hidden or put, and you know, it's just like that. It's just like that. Because I truly believe if Sebastian walked out of that house without his shoes on, the dogs would have picked up the scent. Period. The dogs would have picked up the scent. But moreover, even if the dogs didn't pick up the scent, there was going to be a point when Sebastian had a complete and utter meltdown. And when he had the complete and utter meltdown, he would have been very, very noticeable. None of that ever happened. Okay? None of that ever happened. I'm sorry, but in my opinion, we know it was the parents. And see, that's where it comes from, right there. Every YouTuber has gone for the parents. Most have gone for the Proudfoots. Others have gone for Seth. But either way, parents have been the focus from everyone. And that is true. Because it's the only thing that makes sense. And the reason why it's the only thing that makes sense is because, first of all, they've got a camera pointing on the front door. The front door is where they say Sebastian had to have left from. So no matter how you look at it, if that door had been opened, even slightly, you would have seen some of the radiant light from the inside of the house, which would have triggered the camera from across the street, and they would have picked up a shadow. They would have picked up or observed a ghost-like figure coming out of the front door and leaving. That never happened. So that means, that tells me that exit point was not a true exit point, because Chris has already told us that if somebody had come into the house to kidnap Sebastian, the camera across the street would have clicked on. It wouldn't have been seen very well, but you would have seen something. Well, if that's true for somebody going into the house, that would also be true for somebody coming out of the house. Okay? And so that never happened. And that's the door that they said this child had to have come out of. So you have that major issue with this particular case, is that a child allegedly went into this house and there's no evidence that this child left. And the only person inside that house was his mother. So one of two things had to have happened. Somebody he knew, coached him out of the house, and they coached him out of the house by some other method. He had to have gone through the garage. He had to have climbed out the window. He had to go through a different door, but he didn't use the front door. Okay? Oh, thank you, Cooper. Betty, surely they realize that we never stop looking for Sebastian. He is loved by... Aw, yes, he is. Yes, he is. Only person targeted here was... Yeah, that's about it right there. So we have that. And then the other part would be, obviously if he left on his own. But again, if he left on his own, where did he go out? And why would he not take his must-have items? He's an autistic child. He would need his gaming system. He would need his cell phone. He would need snacks. You got to think of a childlike mentality. If you're running away, even young children, when they ran away, what did they take with them? They took some clothes. They took some snacks. They took their favorite toy. They put it on a stick, in their bandana. and walking down the street because they're running away going to grandma's house, right? They're running away going to grandma's house. So they always take something when they know they're leaving. They just don't leave. And then you couple that with the autism and the lack of eloping. It's hard for me to believe. However, with that caveat, we do have, why am I forgetting his name? What is the one gentleman that passed away while we were covering this case? And he's like a linguistic, or maybe he's a body language guy. I can't remember his name. I know as soon as somebody says it, I'll be like, duh, right? But I can't remember his name. I know somebody's going to say it. Peter Hyatt. Thank you. Yes. No, Bo, it's Peter Hyatt. We're going to get to Sonny. Bo. So you're on the right track, though. But yes, Peter Hyatt. He believed that Katie put Sebastian out the door. And that he ended up just walking off. I didn't believe that because there would have still been video evidence of that. There's no video evidence of this child walking at all. But playing that, and then we had Peter Hyatt, and then of course Jason Jensen, which I have all the confidence in Jason Jensen. I do. But it doesn't necessarily mean I agree with him 100% of the time. And he also believes that it's possible that Sebastian just merely wandered off, that it's, typical of autistic children. But, and it is, in many cases it is. But there's so many degreeing parts to the autism spectrum that it's hard for me to believe that fits with Sebastian from everything that we've learned about him. All right. Anyways, let's get back.
Don't know about these people. Will it change our mind about, do we think that he is capable of something like this? We don't know these people. So naturally, us in the true crime community, we always look at everybody that's missing a loved one very skeptically, especially if they were the last people that saw that person alive, because the statistics lead us to that, and we need to resolve that before we move on, right? Because we know that is exactly what law enforcement is going to be doing before they move on. They're going to be looking directly at the parents because they're the ones that have the most contact and the most access to that missing child.
So again, just standard stuff, right? Not really holding a lot of weight in one proposition or one theory or one, whatever. I'm just kind of saying, we got to look at this. We got to look at this. We got to look at this. We look at everybody when it comes to a missing person or a deceased person. We look at the teachers. We look at the RSOs. We go through the arrest records of the areas just to see if anybody, smells a little funny, we look if they have friends. We look at the friends. I mean, we literally look at everybody. We're never just dive right in and hook, line, and sinker. But we talk about why, we're looking at the parents. We're looking at the parents because, one, we don't know what happened to the child. 2, they're the ones that have the most contact with the child. And 3, they were the last ones that saw the child alive. That's the only reason we're looking at this. And then their behavior became so suspect that it was hard not to look at anybody else after that point. I mean, there were so many red flags coming here and coming there and going everywhere. Let's talk about some of those. Like the polygraph. Chris was flouting that he had passed the polygraph. We found out that was a lie. We heard that they took him for an FBI ride-along, right? Well, remember what Elevated Truth had said about what the FBI did? apparently Chris's truck, or his Wi-Fi of his truck, was picked up on a cart report. And he's trying to convince everybody that that cart report happened, at after he arrived back home, because remember, he kept saying he hadn't been in the area for, over a month. Right? The last time he saw, thank you, Cooper. Because I'm a love machine. Welcome to this, who was it? Lisa. Well, Cooper, thank you. Don't forget to tell Cooper thank you, Lisa. You just got the gifted Bullhorn Betty membership. Welcome to this crazy family we call the Coffee Club. I eat the insane love.
That would be another example of, as you say, fake news.
Wrong button. That was the wrong button. I'm sorry. It's not fake news. She's really part of the coffee club. I'm saying. Welcome to this crazy family called the Coffee Club. I eat the insane love. Grab your straight jacket in your padded room. I'm sorry about that. Oh, Melanie gifted a Bullhorn Betty membership because I'm a love machine. And that went to Star Blazin'. Well, Star Blazin', welcome to this crazy family we call the Coffee Club. I eat the insane asylum. Grab your straight jacket in your padded room. Welcome aboard, guys. I can't believe I fake newsed it. These buttons kind of look the same when you just grab them, willy-nilly, I'm just over here. I know where they're supposed to be. And one has red print on, one has black, and sometimes I get them a little confused. That's all. I try to separate them, but if my hand misses one, it goes to the other. So, whatever. There we go.
So what was going on in and around this whole situation, and does it come to this whole custody situation?
So we're looking at, different angles, not married to any particular theory. I don't know how I became the bad guy in this whole story. I was just doing the work, right? Going down where we need to go down, looking at everybody we need to look at, looking at all the theories, the motives, what?
And that was just about to change this summer. Could that be a possibility? Could there have been more stuff going on inside the home that we don't know about? And if we don't know about it, how are we going to learn about it, right? So before we get started, I'm just going to go and say hi to everybody. Good morning to everybody that came in. But for some of the first people that came into the chat this morning, The Real Me Too, good morning. Of course, I'm here, Gigi for life. Cynthia, it's nice to see you. Our resident defense attorney, Big Mac Mike. It's nice to see you. Our beautiful Sonia that makes us our beautiful custom items.
I forgot how combative Big Mac Mike used to be. I forgot. Always coming with the slick comments like, well, it could have been this. And we started calling Big Mac Mike our resident defense attorney. I don't know how Big Mac Mike don't put up with our butts. But Big Mac Mike did. Big Mac Mike did. Oh, we need to buy Big Mac Mike a Big Mac for the Bullhorn Betty show.
It's nice to see you here this morning. Jules is in the house. Maddie Don, good morning.
That is true.
Rusty is up in the house this morning. Linda Lou showing her pride for being a member for 15 months.
Oh, Linda Lou.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. God bless you for that. God bless you for that. Who else do we have? CR, it's nice to see you. Just Deb, cool gamer, it's great to have you as well. Pete, it's nice to have you as always.
Yeah, Pete.
Our beautiful Pebbles, TD Dean is up in the house. All of our beautiful people, our beautiful coffee.
I need to go through this. I need to go through this list. It's been a while. I haven't seen some of you guys in a while. Well, I've been kind of shaking some people. I've been kind of shaking some people. We won't go through it.
Beans are here. They're here. Allie, good morning, my. So, what do we have here? Well, first, before we get really started, I think the best thing to go through right now is the most the release. Okay, there's a TBI release on this case. It was released yesterday, so some of you guys may have already seen it. Some of you might have been at work and haven't had.
All right, guys. So that's kind of where we're going to leave it tonight. We're going to keep going through this. We're going through everything. So one of the things that I can take away from so far in this show is that at the beginning we had no. Hold on. Did Sebastian make it home? That's up for debate, in all fairness. So I'm on the team he arrived home. However, hindsight, Mama Rissa and BMW Coupe have put forth some very compelling information that may prove that he may not have made it home. So, honestly, I really don't know one way or another. The only reason why I'm going with he made it home is because I've heard rumors that he had made it home. I heard rumors that they did identify that he was the one that took out the garbage. And of course, people were challenging, like, well, it was too hazy. I didn't see the video. I'm just saying what people told me. But what really brought me over the fence about him making it home was hearing Sonny and how Sonny told the PIs that he was home. And because of how he said it, not that he said it, I listened to how he said it multiple times. Did I believe him? What was his body language or sound language, really? I mean, you can't really see any body language, but you could hear him. And you could tell kind of at the end of it, he was starting to get nervous when they were trying to really hold him down on some times and information that went to the integrity of the investigation, and he knew he could not answer it. So you could really hear the difference in his voice and how he handled that, and that really kind of solidified that I thought he was being truthful, when he said that Sebastian had made it home. So that is why I believe Sebastian made it home. Not that Mama Rissa and Hindsight and BMW Coupe did not provide some very compelling information that he may not have arrived home. So it's still debatable whether he made it home or not. I personally don't know. So if you guys are like doing your theories and stuff, you're going to have to adjust your theories and do two theories, one that he arrived home and one that he didn't arrive home, because I don't think anybody has definitively, except the sheriff. And that's where, that's a reliable source. Okay, folks? The sheriff's a reliable source. I don't know what you guys call a reliable source, but I call the sheriff a reliable source. Like even, Sheriff Snuggle Struggles, right? He's not a source because he's not talking. And when he does talk, it's word salad. So it's, and not only that, but Sonny didn't know he was being recorded, and he was talking, frankly, with PIs. So I trust that he was being more forthcoming than he would have if he was giving a press conference. That's just my opinion. Again, I could be off base with it. I may be totally off base. Maybe Sonny thought he was, but it was determined later that it wasn't Sebastian, or was it determined later that Sebastian didn't make it home, you know, but we don't know. It's debatable. It's debatable. That's where I'll stay with that. Well, one of the ones that were always here was switched to a hate channel, sadly. Oh, yeah. There's nothing we can do about that. There's, you know, and that tells you a lot about somebody's character and integrity. When you see them do stuff like that, the best thing to do is just unsubscribe, right? That really is the best thing you can do. But to each their own. I can tell you that drama sells a lot more than true crime. So, you know, we attract a lot of crazies on these channels, but it seems like everybody's kind of staying in their own lane, at least for the time being. So it's been a little bit more relaxing over here on the true crime, thank God, you know. So remember the warrant that wasn't a warrant. The missing pickle bag with K. Rogers on it. Where did Christopher Proudfoot hang out in high school? Yeah, those are great questions. And those are historical. Oh, let me get back. Those are historical questions, too. Those are questions that could help identify behaviors of Chris and Katie, because one thing that we know, well, I mean, of course you have outliers like Ashley Buzzard. Ashley Buzzard is an outlier. She basically took her child to an area and had her walk in front of her, and it was probably an area they had never been to before, and kaboom, you know, gone. She was gone. They got her for like lying in wait type charges, which is just, it's really, really sad. But, you know, outside of outliers like that, typically when a person's in a situation like this, if they, you know, if this theory, I mean, we're basing this off the theory that Sebastian was harmed by his mother, right? And that's still a theory because Sebastian hasn't been found, you know, alive or deceased. So it is a theory until we know it's a theory. It's just an opinion. But if they did harm him, typically statistics will tell us that they're within XYZ miles from the home in an area like that. I would say I'm a little hazy on an area like that because I think, you know, they do have a development there, but there's still so much rural outside of that it makes me wonder, could they be further outside of the 10 miles? And the fact that Chris was traveling back to, you know, Memphis, that's a lot of stretch there. But if for whatever, if we were to look at this, you know, we can't determine because we don't know where Sebastian is. He hasn't been found. And usually people, if they do harm their child, they work within areas that they feel comfortable in, areas that they know that they can get away with whatever they need to get away with, okay? And so we are looking for areas that they're comfortable in, that they know are desolate. And so we start thinking out of boxes. Who would be at these areas? Why would they, you know about these areas? So then you start thinking, okay, he's lived in the area his whole life. Maybe it's something that he hung out, his secret spot when he was in high school that just needed to get away from something. You know, we all have those little nooks and crannies in our own community if we've lived in our own community for years and years and years and years. So we're looking at it from that angle, and so we're applying some real statistics to our theories and saying, you know, maybe it's some place that, you know, Chris or Katie have visited previously or, you know, frequently. Right, like private property. It could be private property. I mean, their family has a lot of family that knows law and order, knows law enforcement protocol, has family in law enforcement from a lot of different branches of law enforcement. I mean, we've got a lot when it comes to the Proudfoot and Bowersock family. So this is we got private property as well, but there's a lot of wooded area that is undeveloped that I would think would be prime for somebody to dump at, and it's hard that we're talking about that. But again, this child has been missing for 2 years. At what point do we start looking at avenues where this child could be? And again, it upsets me that law enforcement hasn't gone back over any of their, we thought after the cold, you remember, we always kept thinking, well, after the cold, because he disappeared in February, it was really, really cold, once the cold went away and the leaves, blew away and all this other stuff, they would do another search, they'd do another search in the summer, in areas that they weren't able to get to in the winter or something. They never did anything. They've never done any follow-up searches. They've never done any targeted searches. They've never gone back over their work. When we were looking for Elijah Vu, those searchers were out there combing over everything over and over and over again. And they weren't being hindered by law enforcement, even the private searches. They were encouraged by law enforcement. It's so funny. You come here, and the only people that are discouraging trying to find this boy is his mother, his stepdad, and the law enforcement. And so it brings me to some other information, like what the United Cajun Navy had said, back in them days. And some of the statements that they had made, which we're not going to go over right now. But here's one of the statements that have always just kind of stuck with me. And it's this one right here. It says there are elements of law enforcement that don't want him found either. And that will always, always, always stick with me. Right there. Right there. And this is from the United Cajun Navy. Okay? So this was well known at this time when this child was being searched for. And Chris and Katie were having people followed and harassed like forever. Like it's just insane to me. Sorry, give me a second. I don't know what the heck I'm doing here. All right, there we go. So I don't know. We need to really look at why is law enforcement, and we've said this before, law enforcement has really been a hindrance in their own case. They've really obstructed their own case. They failed to do a lot of stuff that they should have done. And they failed to get the warrants or the parents to do things they needed to do early on in the case. And I think that put the case way, way, way far behind. But even if I'm all wrong and off base on that, there's no excuse why law enforcement shouldn't and couldn't have done additional searches for this child. And even if they said it's because they lost money and $200 million were taken out of their coffers, well, if that was the case, then why did Eric Craddock go up to the BOCC, their Board of County Commissioners, not once but twice, one for a raise for himself and one for his office to be redone? Very self-serving request. Not one dime has he ever asked from the county to help facilitate more searches for Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. And shame on the commissioners there for not asking the sheriff if he needs more resources to help find a missing child in their community. There's something to be said about this community, and we're going to go out there. We're going to be raising our voices for an entire week in February, from February 3rd to the 27th. February 23rd to February 27th. And we're going to be having a main event on February 26th. We have about 30 or 40 people coming out right now. I'd like to get to that at about 100. Please prepare your signs. Bring your signs. Honk for Sebastian. Lock them up. Do your job. Corruption lives here. Whatever you guys choose to put on the sign, we're fine with. We're coming to raise our voice. We're going to do it with smiles on our face. We're going to be respectful, and we're not going to interfere. If law enforcement gives us instruction, we follow instruction. Okay, we respect law enforcement. What I say and do on here is applying pressure, and how I feel about law enforcement. I'll speak for myself, but when you guys are out there representing Sebastian, please, please, please be as respectful as possible, which many of you guys are, because this is a 17-year-old boy, right? That has been missing, and we want to represent respectfully, okay? I'm going to be applying pressure diplomatically and respectfully from my bullhorn. I'm going to be raising my bullhorn for 5 minutes at the top of every hour. It's what we did with Gabby Petito. Then it's, I don't have to worry about like the neighbors or anybody like that not being able to do, their job. We are downtown. We could do it if we wanted to, but we definitely want to be respectful of other people, right? They have to live in this community and they still have to conduct work. I'm not going to be screaming. I mean, I am going to be raising my voice, but we're going to be very methodical and very strategic on how this is all folded out for the week. I have my topics for each day of what we're going to be talking about to the sheriff with our 5 minutes at the top of every hour. And then between that, I'm going to be speaking in my camera. So that's how I do it. I go there. The camera's always going. You guys hear me advocating and protesting. And then I go there for the rest of the time, just in case law enforcement wants to be there and listen to what I'm saying, because that's where I apply pressure. That's where I start telling people what they can and can't do. That's where I start telling them about their record. That's where I start talking about, what needs to happen in this community. I start telling the people and the public about what their shortcomings are and how things are done in other communities and things like that. That's what we do. I'm going to try to be there. Yay, Sassy. I can't wait. Would this sign be okay? Turn the case over to someone who can solve it. Love it. Turn it over to the FBI. You bring up a valid point. Yes, anything. Okay? Anything. But we want like the honk for Sebastian. We want to bring Sebastian home. If you see something, say something. Please come forward. You might be the key. Anything and everything. I just, whatever. We are Sebastian's army. And, in all fairness, we've been through a lot of shit in this community. Okay. Can you imagine the people that have to live in it? Okay. These people cannot do what they need to do for this boy because they will have retribution. They will be intimidated. We are not going to allow a community to to intimidate their people. In this America, you should have a right to speak your piece. And people are scared to, and that's not cool. I will never, ever, ever be okay with that kind of conduct from any county. Okay? I am a political activist, and that's something that Sumner County and every county that I go to is going to have to deal with. And I might be there for true crime, but don't get it twisted. Don't you dare get it twisted. So anyways, guys, I hope you guys can make it. I love you guys. God bless you. Thanks for coming out and showing out this evening and supporting this channel and supporting our just going back into time and looking at this. I'm going to pull some other videos. I think we wore that one out. I'll go through that one, see if there's any other stuff that I think is important in there. And we're going to move on. Okay, we're going to get some nuggets out of this because we need to remember. We need to go back in our time, in our memory, and start thinking. What were we thinking at that time? Because you got to remember, there's a reason why they came and attacked this channel. There's a reason why they wanted to shut me up. There's a reason why they wanted to shut my channel down. We said something on here, folks. We need to find it. We said something on here that scared the Proudfoots and the Bowersocks. And we need to figure out what it was. They treated no other content creator as horrible. They treated them bad, but not as horrible as they did Bullhorn Betty. They never even came close. So that tells me one thing very, very for certain. Something we said shook the tree. We need to find it. We need to find what we said. There's some truth, folks. There's some truth. Let Them 66 says, update, we still are having issues on water, the hot water. We're going to email the manager in the morning to let her know. Keep praying, folks. Keep praying. But do you have water? I mean, because I will tell you, this is what I've done. Oh, thank you. 3 out oven plus 9.5. Gifted 5 Bullhorn Betty membership. Poppy Love, Samantha, Tammy, Pewterbaugh, Reggie B. Oh, Reggie B. Good. It's nice to see you, love. Vermont girl. Welcome to this crazy family we call the Coffee Club, i.e. the Insane Asylum. Grab your straitjacket in your padded room and welcome aboard. It's because I'm a love machine. Ow! But where were we going with this? I forgot. My heart breaks for Seth. Yeah. Well, our heart breaks for Seth, period, because at the end of the day, it took us a little bit to get where we had to go, but it's hard to dispute that he, I don't know where we would be in this case if he didn't work the night shift. He would have been crucified by this fake news and bullshit on these platforms. Crucified. This man was literally observed on camera the entire blessed time. The entire blessed time. And he still got all the hate he did. It was never him. It was just the deflection. They needed the deflection just like they need the unscrupulous PI still throwing out bullshit reports, modified videos and photos, and a package of lies. It's disgusting. It's deplorable. And no person missing a child would go through all of this with these horrible people unless they're trying to cover up something really, really big. Okay? And we're not talking about a child being sent off to some school. If they could afford the child being sent off to some school, this child would have been sent off to some school back in 2022 when they wanted to boot him up out of their house for whatever reason. Okay? He didn't even last a full 14 months. He had DCS at his house 5 different times during that time, from the time they tried to throw him out of the house in 2022 and get Seth to take him full time to today, to the time he was missing, was 14 months, 5 CPS reports, and then finally a missing child. And then all of a sudden, what happens? Oh, Daddy Dearest comes back home, does he not? And he hasn't left her side since. Interesting. So, guys, I want you guys to start looking in it. Think of things that we forgot about. Do you guys have a list of things we forgot about on the Sebastian Rogers case? Send them to me. bullhornbetty@gmail.com. Guys, bullhornbetty@gmail.com. Let's get into it. It's time to get into it. We're going back. I'm not stopping. We're going to keep going back. We're going to keep circling back. We're going to keep circling back. We're going to keep circling back. I need people to show up to my event on February 26th. That's the day I really need everybody. That's the day I want to show out, right? I want to show out on his 2-year milestone. Why? Because he deserves it. His mommy and stepdaddy don't think he deserves it. They want me to do something more constructive with my time. More constructive. Well, I tried that. You know where that led me? That led a lot of lies being put on against me and me going to jail when I did that constructive stuff. So you know what? I don't do that anymore. Now it's just applying pressure diplomatically. It's taking and squeezing, right? That's what we do to communities when they start bucking, right? So we got $200 million out. There is Riley's in. We're going to start working on their GOP. We're going to start getting people in their red county installed in their red county, just what we did in Manatee County, and start getting some of the corrupt politicians moved on their way. That's how we do it. And when you got the attention of Bullhorn Betty that goes through counties and does this, it's going to be very uncomfortable for a very long time, because not only are we committed for Sebastian, even after he's found, you've already pissed Bullhorn Betty off, so I'm not done with you until I clean up your county. That's how I roll. I haven't even started. You haven't even seen me at your county meetings yet. When I start showing up at your county's meetings, that's when you need to say, oh, shit. Okay? That's when you need to say, oh, shit. But we're coming. We're coming. Lawfully and legally. Just saying. Not playing. Just saying. All right, guys. I've had enough fun with you. I had enough fun with you, and I had enough cat and mouse with the old, Sumner County. We got it. We got it going on. But we gotta be nice to them, because I'm not coming after the beat cop, and we like Major McCoy, right? We show Major McCoy. We got just a few people we upset with, all right? Just because we upset with a few doesn't mean we're upset with all. I just want to make sure that's clear. So we love law enforcement. We back the blue, but some of y'all just need to be smacked around a little bit. Lawfully and legally, of course. Don't want to use that insightful language. I don't want to be called Tim Walls, okay, folks? No, I'm not trying to, okay? I just say we love thy neighbor, okay? I don't want to be called Tim Walls. I want to call Betty. I'm a Betty. We love machines. We love machines. I'm a love machine.
You're a liar!
I'm gonna defer to Trump. I'm a love machine, baby.
You know why? Fake news. It's all fake news. It's phony stuff. It didn't happen.
All right, guys. You guys have a great night, and we will see you back here. I don't know when we'll see you back here, but we'll see you back here first thing in the morning. Peace.